Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast is the Laces Out podcast. It's our NFL podcast, and we are talking playoff football. Wildcard weekend is gone. It's in the history books. We will talk about what happened. And we have got divisional round matchups coming your way this weekend. Looking forward to that. Before we get started, please do consider like, share, subscribe, and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review. Share the podcast around. That's the one that's the bestest. That's grammar, isn't it? That's the one that we like the most. Share the podcast around. Right, let's get started. Here we go. This is CookieCast. Laces Out.
Recording in progress now. She says it now. Yes, recording is in progress. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to the Laces Out podcast here at the CookieCast Network. Myself and my glamorous co-host, Mr. Paul Williams, are here to talk to you about what is finally playoff football. Wild card weekend. Been and gone. In the bag. Done and dusted. We will move on to other types of playoff football. There were teams on bye because of being up there in the seedings, but those teams will re-enter the fray to duke it out. We had some very, very close games and some not so close games. We had teams that played a lot better than they ever should do. And then we had other teams who didn't turn up. Not going to lie, there was a few games that I was like, I really don't see the point to this game. And then those teams came out on the field and then they proved that there was no point to those games. I was a little bit behind the way that me and Leanne do things, is that we try and save ourselves so that we can do like catch-up watching while games are going, so that we can then do catch-up watching while games are going, so that we can then pick up anything that we need to. So on Monday, and even this evening, we rattled through some this evening. So we try and avoid any sort of scores and spoilers and things. But as with social media and the like, it's nigh on impossible. So before recording, we sat down to tuck in to the Texans Steelers game. Wow. At one point, I said, it's not really about who's winning this game, is it? It's more about who's losing. Because both teams seemed quite insistent that they really wanted to lose that game. The fact that the Texans absolutely blew out the Steelers, points looked nothing short of a miracle. But anyway, that's boiling our biscuits a little too soon. So, wildcard weekend, been and gone. It had its ups, it had its downs. We are left with a lot less teams at this point in time, a lot less games to pick, and a lot less opportunities for things like side bets and but like bankers and outsiders and all the stuff that we really like, all gone. And it makes me sad. What makes me more sad is I saw a prediction. Somebody was doing the bracketing system. It was a video that was taken from before the playoffs started, and they said that they were from the future and they were going to outline all the games. And funnily enough, obviously having had all of this week's games played, they weirdly got them all right. And then they went on to the next round, and the Super Bowl they ended up with, I was like, please not that. And then they went with, and your winner of this year's Super Bowl, and I went, I thought there was a possibility. I thought there was no possibility this year of a Super Bowl that I wouldn't watch. But fuck me, they managed to find it. And my God, the winning team, I was like, don't fucking dare. Anyway, like I say, we don't want to get ahead of ourselves. So let's look back. Let's look back at what happened through wildcard weekend. How does the book shape up?
Well, the book reads thusly. So obviously, as we said, 14 teams into the postseason. 2 teams not playing, the Seahawks and the Broncos, by the nature of them being the number 1 seed. That left us with 12 teams fighting it out to become 6 teams to move forward to the divisional round. So, first up, we had the Rams at the Panthers, and we both correctly selected the Rams to dispose of the 4th seed Carolina Panthers. Next up, we had the 7 seed Green Bay Packers taking on the 2 seed Chicago Bears. And this was our first difference of opinion. I had the Bears. Mr. Cook had the Packers. So it's an advantage to me in as much as I take a 2-1 lead after 2 games. Third game, we had the 6th seeded Buffalo Bills beating the 3rd seeded Jacksonville Jaguars in what we both last week determined probably to be the tightest of the games in wildcard weekend, and I believe we were thoroughly rewarded for that thought process, as I believe this was. I mean, to be fair, both games that preceded it at this point were settled within 1 score, and this was no different. I believe there were league changes in the 4th quarter in all games, but I think there was at least 2 in this one alone. Mm-hmm. So, yes, 3 points for me from 3 games, 2 points for Mr. Cook from 3 games. Our luck turns, however, in the 4th game where we saw the 6th seeded San Francisco 49ers taking on the 3rd seeded Philadelphia Eagles. We both had the Eagles, and we were incorrect to do that, as it was the San Francisco 49ers that were successful and will move on to the next round. We also had the 7th seed Los Angeles Chargers taking on the 2nd seed New England Patriots. This was the start of the games that were not as close, shall we say, and inadvertently was the start of the games where certain teams wouldn't even score a touchdown in the postseason. The Chargers were the first of those teams. They were very much not in this one at any point against the Patriots, and it was the Patriots that progressed. And finally, we had the 5th seed Houston Texans taking on the 4th seed Pittsburgh Steelers, and it was our final difference of opinion game. Andy needed this one to bring it level at 4 games apiece, whereas I just needed it to cement my win. Andy backed the Steelers, ladies and gentlemen. I took the Houston Texans, which does mean that I win the week with 5 of 6 correct selections. Andy, sadly, only had 3. That gives me the win for the week. Leaves Andy on 6.5 points. Moves myself to 12.5 for the overall scores for the season. Andy has correctly predicted 178 of 278 games so far this season. I have correctly predicted 185 of 278 games so far this season. Quick maths. 285 games we will have predicted by the end of the Super Bowl. So let's see how close we can get to that marker. Side bet wise, going back to last week, we did a thing where, but because myself and Mr. Cook were in agreement for 4 of the games, we divvied up those 4, took 2 each, and then we basically took the sides that we had in the 2 remaining games as our other 2 games. Obviously, that did not play out in Mr. Cook's favour, sadly, as he did have the Packers and the Steelers as his half of that particular scenario. I had the Bears and the Texans, so I have 2 points already. Andy was able to snaffle away the Rams as part of his side bet, but he also took the Eagles as his other game. So sadly, Mr. Cook only got 1 point from a possible 4 to move him to 47 from a possible 76.
Oh,
I managed to get full beans.
Oh, sweet.
As I had
Mother.
I had the Patriots, the Bills, the Bears, and the Texans. So that moves me to a 59er from 76 possible points. So, side bet. I think it might be done, ladies and gentlemen. But we'll see. You never know. We might be able to get some creative accounting for the last 2 to 3 weeks of the season. Let's see. Our bankers and outsiders. It's not much better reading, sadly. Our bankers that we picked. I had banked the Texans to beat the Steelers. And it all kind of goes off the rails from there. So we had the Eagles as our other banker.
Yeah, shit.
That did not come off. Our 2 outsiders of the Jaguars and the Panthers also did not come to pass. I would go so far as to say I don't think any of the outsiders actually won this weekend. I suppose the closest thing you get to an outsider was probably the 49ers. And
49ers.
Come the start of that game, the potential lines were fairly close.
I think with the fact
that an upset.
The Eagles were defending champions, it's just simply down to that from a numbers perspective. Obviously, the 49ers would go down as the outsider in that situation.
True. Very, very true.
Honestly, I am loving the 49ers stuff that's going on at the moment. There's stuff about the position of the field next to an electric substation that is causing all these injuries. I saw a video today about how they keep sacrificing players to make Christian McCaffrey strong. I particularly enjoyed that video.
Wow.
They're like, it's fine because we don't need any other players because we have Christian McCaffrey. And as each player goes down, he just gets stronger and he's at God level now. And I mean, they kind of have a point. Yeah, this electrical substation thing is a little bit of the fact that a lot of scientists, doctors, and the like are coming forward like this is absolutely a thing. It's 100% a thing. Like, okay. Somebody I have on social media, they were like, oh, here's a picture of me at 49er Stadium. Look at the background of the picture. The substation's in the background. They're like, look, it's literally there. So it's nice that there's like weirdly random shit still going on. I've seen a lot of stuff say that this is the most mental NFL season possibly ever, which I'd be inclined to agree with. I'm very much torn with a particular team at the moment. It is the number one, not necessarily number one team that I would like to see go out next, but their social media game is absolutely on point. They are they are tickling my my enjoyment buttons for the fact that they just keep using like lots of anime references for their social media announcements, and they're fantastic. So I do applaud them for that. I do need them to go away now. So, honestly, it's the freshest game in my mind because it's one that I've seen in the last couple of hours. And anyway, so that's what the book looks like, and that's what the outcome of the games were. Already, there's already cheeky game of the week, and I think it might possibly be a hidden gem. I think it's tucked away under a lot of other. Oh, the Seahawks are coming in, the Broncos are coming in, and all this. I personally think there's a cheeky game of the week hidden amongst all of that. But before we jump forward, I am boiling my biscuits all over the place today. Before we jump forwards, we need to remain a little in the past because Stats Mistress was on it today. 1 minute I turn my back, nothing's happening, nothing's going on. I turn round, stats flowing, fingers flying. And here, with the NFL wildcard round stats, no credit. That's all I'm saying, no credit. But we know that in our world, credit goes to the Stats Mistress, and she's not disappointed this week. She has brought us some of the finest stats, and this is the first and monster stat of the week. The Texans made their first road playoff win in their 24-season history on Monday night, 30-6 rout of the Steelers in Pittsburgh, of all places. Houston can continue a string of firsts by winning its first divisional round matchup at New England this weekend, which would vault the Texans to that maiden appearance in the AFC title round. Houston Texans have never reached a conference championship game before. The only team in the NFL not to do so. Texans have won 10 consecutive games heading into the divisional round. Let's hope Houston wide receiver Nico Collins, who was evaluated for a concussion Monday night, will be available Sunday. I always say it, especially through this season. It does feel weird to root for the Patriots. I don't see a connection there personally, but yes, I'm going to be a Patriots fan. Number 2. There are 2 teams remaining in the playoffs which have never won the Super Bowl. The Texans and the Buffalo Bills. That's it. That was it. Number 3. There are further 3 teams that have never won the Super Bowl, which remained on brand by losing in the wild card round. The Carolina Panthers, Jacksonville Jaguars, and Los Angeles Chargers. Another big one. Number 4, Bills quarterback Josh Allen has won a playoff game in 6 consecutive seasons. Only Tom Brady, 8, and Patrick Mahomes, 7, have longer streaks, though both have also won multiple Super Bowls. Still an open item on Allen's to-do list. The Bills' win at Jacksonville was, however, their first postseason victory on the road since 1992 playoffs, which is also the only instance in which Buffalo has won multiple road games in the same postseason. The Bills play next at Denver a year after whipping the Broncos 31-7 at Orchard Park in the wild card round. one of the things I did see on a video I saw today was saying about how the Broncos have had the bye and they're seeding and stuff, but they potentially might as well stay at home and not bother playing this weekend because. And I was like, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Just say the Broncos keep getting it done, so let's cool our jets. Number 5. It has been 9 years since the Steelers' most recent playoff win. Pittsburgh has now lost 7 consecutive postseason games and trailed by at least 21 points in all of them. No team had lost 5 consecutive playoff games by double-digit margins until now. Steelers had also won 23 consecutive home games on Monday Night Football, a streak dating back to 1992 before getting whooped by Houston. Obviously, just before we sat down to record, it's been announced that Mike Tomlin has stepped down as head coach. So not been fired, has stepped down as head coach of the Steelers. 6th and final for me. This season marks the 4th time the Seahawks have been number 1 seed. And they'd have advanced to the Super Bowl in the other 3 instances. Interesting. As in 2018, which was the last season where New England won a playoff game, those Patriots prevailed in Super Bowl 53, Tom Brady's final championship run with the organization. Interesting. Over to you.
Yes, indeed. I'll pick us back up with it's been 19 years since the Chicago Bears last won multiple games in the same postseason, which also happens to be the last time they reached the Super Bowl. As in Super Bowl 20, the one that the 85 Bears won 46-10 against the Patriots. Wouldn't it be something if Chicago and New England met in the Super Sunday stage again on the 40-year anniversary of the coronation of those legendary Bears? Just a very, very short stat here. The 49ers' 40 playoff wins are the most in NFL history. Aaron Rodgers has 45 career postseason touchdown passes, but the only one that he threw on Monday night was to the Houston Texans. The pick 6, potentially the final throw of his illustrious career. And the final stat of the week, it's a bit of a sad one. Let's end with a shout out to the 49ers tight end George Kittle, who tore his Achilles on Sunday at Philly. Gutting for Kittle, gutting for his teammates, gutting for the NFL fans who recognise him as one of the league's premier players. We were talking about this as it happened on Sunday because we were saying obviously it's terrible timing in the fact that he's going to miss the remainder of the postseason. I think it's debatable whether he plays next season at all, just due to the timing of it. Because we were saying obviously Mahomes tore his ACL in week 13 or whatever it was. It was like that puts him right on the sort of the borderline for whether he'll make it back in time for next season. You might have to sit the first couple of weeks, blah 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 blah. But tearing your Achilles now probably puts him like a proper risk of actually being back for the start of next season at all, or even any part of next season. So yeah, we'll see. But very disappointing from a 49ers perspective, certainly.
Yes, I mean, like it's another high injury season. Obviously, some real key names in there for injuries. It was highlighted a couple of times in a couple of the games. Obviously, Justin Herbert got absolutely battered in that game. Rodgers seemed to get sacked on pretty much every play in the Steelers game. Josh Allen had a good old pick in that game. So the more, as we know, the more they play, the further they get, the higher the chance of injury, and so on and so on and so on. It's just one of those unfortunate things. Somebody like George Kittle, you have to look at if he doesn't end up playing next season, is it time to start thinking about the old R word and not that one, the other one? Missing out season, getting that additional rust, even off-season rust, missing a season, another year into your career. I do think we'll see some retirements over the off-season. Honestly, I mean, I have that double sort of sided thing of Rodgers has got to go. I bet you cash money he doesn't. I bet you anything he's interviewed at some point, and it's like, so another season.
All I'll say is that Tomlin going, there is absolutely no chance he plays in Pittsburgh. If he does play next season, he won't be there. He'd have to go to a different place because there's no way
he's already
he'll want to be.
He's already burnt his bridges with the Jets.
Exactly. There's no way that he wants to be playing under a first-year head coach. So he won't be in Pittsburgh next season if he plays.
Is that the Cleveland area code? By any chance? Anyway, that is pretty much last week in the bag, done and dusted with a bow on. It's very much in the history books because it is very much history in there. So we will take a smidge of a break. It's only a break our end. It's literally like a second for you lovely people. We will come back with some more player football. We might even throw our hand at maybe trying to predict a Super Bowl. Maybe it's too soon. Who knows? Join us in 2 seconds and find out. Well, there we go. We're back. And you will not have noticed it in the slightest. And we barely noticed it at all. I got more drink. It was riveting. So, we're done with the wildcard weekend. I will make no comment on that beverage. It looks a lot like Mountain Dew.
I honestly thought you were going to say it looks a lot like I have passed it.
Well, that's why I wasn't going to comment on it, and landed on it has a Mountain Dew-esque coloration.
It is non-carbonated. It isn't piss. It is indeed it's a Robbins. Is it a Robinson's or is it a?
It's got to be a lemon of some description.
No, it is. It is like an orangey type, but it's some sort of like fusion with other additional citric fruits. So it's very very nice. But yeah,
I'm rocking the apple and black currant because I finished my aloe vera drink.
A solid choice. A solid 7 on 10 every day.
So we've got some football games to predict. The buys are, well, I was going to say are no more, but technically there is one more buy before the Super Bowl because it's the game we wait all year for. So there is technically another buy before the Super Bowl, but no more actual playoff-based buys. We are now into the truest form of playoff football because all teams are in it to indeed win it. We have lost some teams. Some of them will not be missed by some of us. Fuck you, Panthers. So, I know I've predicted some games, and I was very sad that I wasn't allowed to do any side betting or attempt to make any form of money off the back of any of these upcoming games. I'll have to use my own Sky Bet account or other betting system is available. We are not sponsored by anybody at all.
Yet.
Just at this moment in time.
Yes.
We are open to any sponsorship.
Indeed.
So, what are the games that we have to look forward to?
Well, as is always the case, I will go through the games in chronological order. So we open. Now, the timings for these games are slightly odd because we're in that sort of phase where we move away from like the 6 p.m. game.
Yeah.
So the 6 p.m. game or 1 p.m. game if you actually live in the States on the East Coast. Yeah. Doesn't exist anymore. So the first two games of divisional weekend, the first one is played at 9:30 p.m. or 4:30 p.m. if you are on the East Coast of the Americas, and sees the Buffalo Bills, number 6 seed, apology, taking on the number 1 seeded Denver Broncos. So 9:30 p.m. slot here in the United Kingdom. Even though they are the number 1 seed, having received a bye in week 1, neither myself nor Mr. Cook fancy them to progress from the divisional round into the conference championship game, as we have both picked the Buffalo Bills. Now, for me personally, I've taken the Bills because it almost feels like, I don't want to say destiny, because that almost sounds a bit like too cliched to say it that way, but it almost feels as if it's kind of now or never.
Yeah.
For the Bills.
So because the Bills went through last week, this week, however you want to look at it, because they went through, I was like, right, that's it, we're done here. The Bills are winning. The Bills are going to the dance and they're going to win it. And I need that to happen now. And they need it to happen. And Josh Allen needs it to happen. And across the board, looking at what's left available, it needs to be the Bills. It has to be the Bills. It's got to be the Bills. Now, when the Broncos beat the Bills this week, we can all have a little cry about it. I personally will have a little cry about it because I'm like, I am with you. It is now or possibly never. I think they have put in the work they need to. Josh Allen is an elite level quarterback. That man embodies that team and he is ready to do what needs to be done. They might not get another chance for a while. It has to be now. They're taking a couple of injuries. Was it Gabe Davis at the weekend?
Yeah, I think they'd said that I don't know if it was a torn ACL, but it was a dirty hit.
Yeah.
I said that during the game. One of the Jags players went low.
Yeah.
Caught him on the outside of the knee, and his knee just did that sort of buckle thing, and you could tell at the time. The fact that he had to leave we had to leave the field on a cart with a towel over his head would probably give you an indication it wasn't a good one.
It's all right, because they replayed it several times in slow motion, so that's always good. So they have taken a couple of those sorts of like injury things here and there, especially in recent times. And Josh Allen took that particularly bad hit in that game. It did look a little bit dirty, that game, for me. I wasn't super enamored with the way certain plays went because a lot of it felt quite unnecessary. Felt a little old school Raiders for my liking. So I'm with you, and I'd like to put all of my chips on the Buffalo Bills at this point in time. Like I say, if it ends up not going that way this week, part of me dreads to think what we might get as a Super Bowl. But yeah, Bills all the way. Bills, baby, Bills. Let's go.
Yes, we will wait and see. The second of Saturday's divisional round games sees the 6th seeded San Francisco 49ers travelling to the 1 seed Seattle Seahawks. Now, this one's technically taking place at 1 a.m. Sunday morning over here in the UK. This obviously will be does fast maths. 8 p.m. kickoff over in the States on the East Coast. So, people that are not new to the podcast know my feelings on the San Francisco 49ers. But, based on everything we've seen this season, and based on what we saw in Week 18, both myself and Mr. Cook have gone with the Seahawks to get the win here. I think home field advantage, everyone knows. Is it Lumen Field now? Whatever the name of the Seahawks home stadium is, it very much plays into their hands the way that stadium gets noisy, aggressive.
12th man,
very much plays 12th man, very, very big. So, and as always seems to be the case with the 49ers, they just don't have, they just can't keep players healthy. Obviously, we already know that George Kittle's gone for the remainder of the season.
It honestly surprises me week on week that they can put a team on the field with the amount of injuries, the stack of injuries that team has. I sometimes wonder if we're going to end up with a situation of, this player's injured, so this completely different position player is going to fill in for them. Something I will say is this, in defense of my pick in the opposite way, although the 49ers are battered, bruised, and beaten, they looked really good at the weekend. I couldn't deny that they looked really good. I was like, fuck. Some of those runs were just immense. I was like, I don't have a massive issue with 49ers. I've rooted for the 49ers in past Super Bowls, and it's one of those that I don't have the same issues as other people. I really liked what I saw. Unlike the Broncos having a bye coming in and potentially losing their first game of the playoffs, I do think what is every week, this phrase has come out, the under the radar Seattle Seahawks coming off a bye, walking into that game, looking at an opponent that is beaten up. I do think they are going to have what is needed to get that game done, put to bed, and move on to the next.
Couldn't agree more. So, that's the first 2 games done and dusted. And we're both in agreement so far. We move to the Sunday slate of games, and this is where I was saying before, the timing starts to get a little bit weird. So, what would usually be the 6 p.m. game has now pushed to 8 p.m. or 3 p.m. if you're on the East Coast of the United States, and sees the 6th seed Houston Texans. The 5th seed Houston Texans taking on the 2nd seed New England Patriots, and then at 11:30 p.m. or 6:30 p.m. on the East Coast of the United States of America, it's the 5th seed Los Angeles Rams taking on the 2nd seed Chicago Bears.
So
one of those games we're in agreement on. The other game gives us our difference of opinion of the 4 games.
Interesting. I said earlier that I think there is a under the radar cheeky game of the week tucked away somewhere in there. One of these two games is my cheeky game of the week. Now then, it might surprise you which. Have you picked the Texans to beat the Patriots?
Cast your mind back 2, maybe 3 weeks. I believe what I said. I can see the Houston Texans going deep into this postseason.
I can't have that, because the thing I saw today had them winning the Super Bowl, and I was like, you can go and get yourself to fuck. I don't want them to go to the Super Bowl, and I definitely don't want them fucking winning. And I will throw every piece of NFL memorabilia I own in the bin if A, that is the Super Bowl I have to sit through, and B, that is the outcome. Of the teams remaining at this point in time, they need to be the first ones to go. And obviously, they're not going to be the first ones to go because they're not going to the first game. But they are the team that I am the most done with at this point in time. I'm like, you need to go now. Well, you've done what you need to do, and you can toddle on. I thought that the Texans looked particularly bad. And by that, I mean, I thought CJ Stroud couldn't have made many more mistakes in that fucking game. It was just the Steelers were dog shit in that game. I think the Texans were very fortunate to be facing off against the Steelers. And I think this version of the Patriots is gold standard Patriots without the annoyance that went with the previous Patriots that we all know and hated. Everything is clicking, everything's in the right place. They look great, and no part of me feels bad supporting them to go further. I am potentially happy for them to go all the way, because I think as a franchise that's gone from having the greatest run in sports history in some ways to then the knocks, the backsteps and things that they took, and then over 3-4 years to rebuild to this level, I absolutely applaud them as a team. Absolutely. And I would be happy to see this version of the Patriots go all the way. That's how much I'm like, yeah, I like this version. I feel comfortable supporting them. I feel comfortable saying that they'll win games, and I need them to win this game.
I think the only thing I'd sort of say is that obviously, like you did say there, obviously CJ Stroud played terribly.
Yeah,
against the Steelers. I think I didn't see the game, but I did read the sort of the write up afterwards. I think it said that he fumbled it 5 times.
Yeah, he dropped 2. The ball was hiked to him twice, and he dropped it. That's how bad. Now I looked at it, I was like, it's playoff jitters. It's there's a lot riding, there's a lot on the line. All eyes are on him, etc. But that's the difference between a quarterback that leads his team to the through the playoffs and beyond, and one that makes mistakes and ends up losing the game. Like I say, they were fortunate to come up against the Steelers.
Yeah.
This version of the Patriots will not be that team. They will not be a walkover.
Correct. On the other side, is he likely to have another game like that?
No. That's
what I would say.
That's the thing that worries me now.
And on the flip side, Drake May didn't look altogether that convincing against the Chargers. and the Chargers' defense isn't that good. So against a very good defense,
and he had a couple of good knocks in that game. He got spanked a couple of times. That Chargers defense is dominant, no matter how you slice it.
But I mean, like up against a proper sort of like on top of their game defense, like the Texans.
Texans defense got me through the fantasy season. Is all I'm saying there. So I'm with the Texans defense.
So, and I think, to be honest, it is a game that is reflected in the betting because it is one of the games that's the closest to sort of to predict.
That tracks for me. I would say that it's probably the only other one that I would struggle with picking is the next one we're going to discuss.
Yeah, so as it stands, the Texans are the 11-8 outsider, with the Patriots as the 4-7 favourite. So the Patriots are backed as the favourite. I mean, obviously they are playing at home, so that would make sense. So we'll just round it out. We'll just finish it off. So the final game, as we said, taking place at 11:30 PM over here in the UK, 6:30 PM back in the States, is the Los Angeles Rams at the Chicago Bears. Now, obviously, despite the Bears getting themselves into a massive hole, but coming back in the fourth quarter against the Packers, myself and Mr. Cook have both gone with the Rams to get the win in this one. I don't know if you'd seen the press conference that they did after the game, where they asked Matthew Stafford what he'd said in the huddle before the sort of the final winning drive, and then obviously he just sort of laughed it off, and then they went to Devontae Adams and asked him the same question, and apparently he was like, yeah, he was just really sort of confident in it, and I think he might have even actually said something along the lines of, yeah, let's go rip their heart out. Pretty cool. But that's what you want, and of the 8 teams that are left in it, he's the only quarterback that's been all the way. So I think prior experience might come into play here.
Yeah,
and I think that'll count for a lot.
I at this point in time, I'm fine with the Rams going through this round. They are going to be top. They're going to be up there on my shit list when they do. Basically, I need the rest of the playoffs to go a certain way, and I know that they don't for me. I imagine you'll be able to pick your way through like clean sweeps from now to the Super Bowl, whereas I get a little too emotional in certain situations and pick the wrong way, and next thing I'm like, 1 game out of 4 correct sort of situations. All I will say is this. If the Bears are known for one thing, it's when they're good, they are good. When they're bad, they are fucking terrible. They are woeful. And apparently, we've got the good version of the Bears at the moment.
Ooh.
Bears are dominant at this point in time. Now, I have my personal issues with the Rams, but the way I pick when dealing with the Rams, it's almost like the two things go hand in hand. I pick the Rams when I know that they're, whatever you want to call it, is going to go in the favour of the game. Now, like I say, I'm happy for the Rams to sort of move on another level, but they will be first on the chopping block for me after this week. I don't want to see them anywhere near the Super Bowl this year. I just want them to move the playoffs forward. So, yeah, I think that for whatever reason, they will have enough to get this one done. However, that is going to probably need to be all she wrote after that. So there we go. So we're just one game different as the Texans Patriots.
Yeah. We've both picked the Bills, Seahawks, Rams, and then I've got the Texans and you've got the Patriots. So one of us will win the week, one of us will lose the week.
Wow.
So that just basically leaves us with the side bet to sort out for this week. And because there's only 4 games, we can only really pick 2 each.
Hmm.
No, because that doesn't. I was going to say unless we do the same thing we did before, but that won't work because we'd only end up with 2.5 games picked in theory. No, 3.5 games. Yeah, so we just have to do it where we just go straight up and we just have to pick the 4 games. So it's up to you whether you go first. Like I say, at this point, I don't really think you can bring it back. There's 12 points in it.
No,
But,
I think
we might as well
it was.
We might as well keep it running until the end of the season.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an awful position to be in to pick at this point in time. I suppose you have to look at from a picking perspective. You kind of have to look at what you think is going to get you the points, and this might seem strange to go in first with the Rams to beat the Bears.
Bastard. They are, according to the odds at least. No, I was going to say they are the clear favourite of all 8 teams to win their matchup this weekend, but that would be a lie because my first pick of the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, that's the only other one.
To beat the 49ers is the slight heavier favourite. So the Rams are 4-9 to beat the Bears, whereas the Seahawks to beat the 49ers are 1-4. So if you do like the look of the San Francisco 49ers, however, ladies and gentlemen, you can get odds of 3-1 on them to beat the Seahawks. So it's not the worst bet I've ever seen. I'm not going to lie. So that just leaves you with the Bills Broncos or the Texans Patriots.
And honestly, I don't particularly want to pick either of these games because I don't feel comfortable with that Bills Broncos game because for me personally, I feel there's a lot riding on it. I need the Bills to get it done. I feel like, there's like I don't know, something weird is tied to the Bills at the moment for me. And because of that, I'm going to let it ride. I'm going to take the Patriots to beat the Texans because, die by the sword. Go all in, baby. Let's get it done.
Well, that just leaves me with the Bills.
So
I will take the Bills. So just to clarify, Andy has the Rams to win on the road in Chicago and the Patriots to beat the Texans in New England. I have the Seahawks to beat the 49ers in Seattle and the Bills to win on the road in Denver. So that's the side bet. Now, normally we'd move to the bankers and outsiders, but as we've discussed, kind of difficult to do that this week because there's only 4 games. So I'll run through the betting odds and we'll just try and put on the best bet that we can in the time we have left. So
delightful.
The Buffalo Bills, Denver Broncos. There is no favourite. They are both 10-11 to win the game. So what I would suggest is that we just leave that game alone.
Skip it.
Next up, as we discussed, the San Francisco 49ers are 3-1. The Seattle Seahawks are 1-4. So, do we just take the Seattle Seahawks as our bet for that one?
Yeah. From a bet perspective, it's the thing that makes the most sense.
Next up, the Houston Texans are 11-8. They are the outsider. The New England Patriots are 4-7. If we were going to take an outsider, that would be the one that I would be taking.
Yeah.
I would be tempted to put the Texans in as part of that bet.
I agree.
And that leaves us with the Los Angeles Rams at the Chicago Bears. And as discussed before, the Rams are the favourites at 4-9. You can get the Bears at 7-4.
I think in that situation, taking the Rams, because we agree that that's the game, that's the team that makes the sense in that game.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got it's almost like a shit sandwich, isn't it?
Yeah. So we then have the option if we wanted to. So that gives us an odds of 3.29 to 1. If we were to add in the Bills, it boosts the odds to 7.19 to 1. So it's entirely up to you if you want to add the Bills in or not.
Oh, I'll defer to you on this one.
Let's add them in because it boosts the odds and it just gives us a little bit more of a win if it does in fact come in. So to clarify, we have the Seattle Seahawks at 1-4, the Houston Texans at 11-8, the Los Angeles Rams at 4-9, and the Buffalo Bills at 10-11. That will return £8.19. Just because it's you, I'm going to put on the exact same bet, but I'm going to swap out the Texans for the Patriots. Now that only gives us odds of 4.42 to 1, but it makes the most sense in that is the only game difference that we have. So I've put that on as well. So we are covered as long as the Bills, Seahawks, and Rams do their job. We're covered either way. And that's all of our Week 20 or NFL divisional round stuff done and dusted. So I'll pass you back to Mr. Cook to wrap us up for the week.
There we go. Wildcard weekend in the bag, divisional round to come, and it just shoots us closer to game of the year. That's right. The Pro Bowl will be upon us any minute now. Yeah, it's getting exciting times. I do always say at this point in time, it's a little bit sad. You've got less games, you've got less to watch, less to look forward to, but the games mean a lot more, so it's still exciting. Obviously, we've got our predictions to look at and things like that. So come back next week. Join us next week when we'll be reviewing what we've just gone through and previewing. Oh, my word. It's going to go down again, and it's going to be what we hope is the cream of what's left. Big thank you to Mr. Williams for running the book and joining me. Talk to you lovely people. Big thank you to you for listening to us for this amount of time. We have other podcasts: football, wrestling, Formula One, all the sports basically. We've got all the sports here, and yes, back catalogues. If you think, man, I really wish I could listen to more Formula One. Back catalogue brimming. And there we go. That is us done for this week. Join us next week. But until then, it's bye from me. It's bye from him. And we will catch you next time. Tatty. Bye.
So, what do you think of that? Another one done. Another one gone. Big thank you for watching. Big thank you for listening. Big thank you for being here. Before you leave us, do consider like, share, subscribe and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review. And check out the website, thecookiecast.com. There we have social media links and an email button, and that way you can get in touch with us. Drop us a line. Tell us who you think is going to win the Super Bowl this year. Tell us who you think is going to be in the Super Bowl to start with. That's it for this one. Till next time, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then.
This has been another episode of CookieCast. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share and subscribe.